What's going on, guys? Dom The Commish here, and today we're going to be doing the first way too early fantasy football mock draft. So shout out right here to draftwizardfantasypros.com. I'm using their website. They're one of the only people who actually has a 2025 mock drafter that we can use. So yeah, we're just going to be doing just something really quick. It's going to be a little bit, what's the word for it? A little bit casual. It's not going to be too hardcore. We're just going to do, PPR snake, 10 team double flex league. This is how I like to play. Obviously, if there are more than 12 or 4, if there's like 12 or 14 teams, you might want to do just single flex. But in 10 team leagues, I think you should always do double flex just so you have more opportunities to play players. Like for me, it really made a difference because my starting wide receivers last year were I drafted CeeDee Lamb, and then I was able to trade for Devontae Adams and Malik Neighbors at lows, while I still had Xavier Worthy, guys like, who else did I have? I think I had Jalen McMillan too, just sitting on my bench, Cortland Sutton, so I could have, started those guys in a pinch, and also, it just gives it a little bit more, who do you start, who do you sit? It's a lot more difficult. So the draft position we're going to be using is going to be randomly decided. So it's not going to be the 6th. So if I click randomize, it'll give me a random position. So let's see who it gives us. It gives us the 6th position again. All right. Not a great pick, I don't think, but I think there could be some value in here. So let's start the draft real quick. So here we got 101 was Jamar Chase, Bijan Robinson, Justin Jefferson, Saquon Barkley, and Nico Collins. Great first 5, and I think there's an obvious number, not an obvious number 6, but now that I see this board, I think it's between two people, and I think it's between Puka Nacua and Jahmyr Gibbs. I don't mind taking Amon-Ra St. Brown here as well, just because of how consistent that he is. But CeeDee Lamb is not going to be in a great offense this year once again. And I think that, once again, Puka Nacua has way more upside. I know they just added Devontae Adams, but we know that Stafford just loves to feed the ball to his receivers. I'm not taking Malik Neighbors here. Running backs, not taking Henry Achan or Bucky Irving this high. Tight ends, obviously not high, and quarterbacks not high. So honestly, for me, it's between the running back and the wide receiver. And honestly, I think that just based on his end of the season, I think we're going to go with Jahmyr Gibbs here. I mean, he was absolutely unbelievable at the beginning of the team, at the end of the year. He won people leagues, which is, I guess, unbelievably crazy to say. I mean, when David Montgomery got hurt, all hell broke loose, and he went absolutely crazy. So, overall, Jahmyr Gibbs at the 106, super easy pick, I think. So the next pick we have here, the experts recommend Brock Bowers, JSN, Derrick Henry, or Bucky Irving. I like all those guys. See what other players suggest. Josh Jacobs, Tyreek Hill. You could even take Josh Allen. I think it's a bit high for Josh Allen. But maybe with a stud running back, you want to get a stud wide receiver too. I don't fully believe in Jackson Smith and Jigba, especially with especially with Sam Darnold as his quarterback. So overall, I think that this pick for me is probably going to be Bucky Irving. I think that he's going to be in a great offense. He's going to be an elite playmaker as he was last year. He's probably going to be the easy number 1. So I think that, get the 2 running back strat first, because I see someone falling here who I absolutely love, and I think it's going to be an absolute steal at the 306. So, but overall, get the 2 running backs who are absolutely unstoppable, I think, together, and that basically fixes that position. But I think this position, absolutely super easy. Quarterback, not looking at these guys yet. Running back, you could grab one of these, but we already have 2. Wide receiver, I'm looking at one guy here, and it's Ladd McConkey. Ladd McConkey is my guy for this season. If you're getting him in the 3rd round, I think it's an absolute steal. I mean, just how much he put up this year and the fact that he's going to have pretty much no competition. I don't think the Chargers are going to draft a receiver this year. maybe in the later rounds, but I think none of them are going to be as talented as Lad McConkey is. So I think that you have to take him at this position. And overall, I think that that's just who you want to pick. Lad McConkey, one of the best players in the league right now. Yeah, he is. So the next position I'm taking is also going to be in the wide receiver category. I'm not going to take a QB high because I'm not 100% sure on any of these guys here. I think I have 11 picks for my next turn. A lot of people say to take Jalen Hurts. I don't mind it. Joe Burrow also. But I think I'm going to go with Rashee Rice here. I think he's criminally underrated, and it doesn't look like the charges that he was dealing with are going to stick as much. So I think that Rashee Rice, if we have a good young receiving core, people forget that he was like a top 5 wide receiver until he had his ACL tear. I still think he's going to be a top 5 receiver. I think that him and Xavier Worthy are going to make an unbelievable 1-2 punch for Patrick Mahomes. Rashee Rice is going to kind of be like that always open, reliable route runner that Travis Kelce has always been, while Xavier Worthy is kind of like the over-the-top Tyreek Hill kind of player. I come here in the 5th round. Jalen Hurts in the 5th round is an absolute no-brainer for me. I think that with the rushing touchdown upside and being in the best offense in the league, or one of the best offenses in the league, I think there's absolutely nothing you can say here to change my mind. Jalen Hurts is the pick here. I see not a lot of tight ends are going, so I think I'm going to wait one more round on a tight end. I know there's a lot of good value here down the board. Where do they have Tyler Warren ranked? They have Tyler Warren very low. I think I might take him as a sleeper option. But the next player we're going to be taking, we could look at running back. Not a lot of guys I like here. Receiver, also. A couple of guys. Tight ends. There's still a lot of tight ends here, I think. So I think I'm going to go with the old Mr. Reliable George Kittle. We get all of our guys together, and Jalen Hurts, Jahmyr Gibbs, Bucky Irving, Lad McConkey, Rashee Rice, George Kittle. For that being our starting lineup, I absolutely love. Jalen Hurts is a surefire quarterback talent, especially with his tush pushes. He barely gets hurt. Jahmyr Gibbs is probably the best running back in the league right now. I'd even put him over Saquon Barkley. Bucky Irving, one of the best young running backs in the league coming up. Lad McConkey and Rashee Rice, young, really good wide receiver duo, and George Kittle, Mr. Reliable at the tight end position, had a big jump in production last year, so I really trust him here at this position. Now, over here, there's a couple people I like. I like Omarion Hampton, especially if he goes to a good spot. David Montgomery, but we already have Jahmyr Gibbs. Rome Odunze I don't like here. Chris Godwin I also love. He was he was my best pick last year. Unfortunately, he did get hurt, but still, I would make that pick again and again and again. He was going to be the fantasy savior this year. And I think, if Chris Godwin hadn't gotten hurt, with my team, I would have steamrolled. I think I had... In my main league where I made the semis, it was Josh Allen, Derrick Henry, Aaron Jones, but I had James Conner for a while, but I traded him away towards the end of the year because I thought that I would get, I got a bunch of value for him. I was actually part of the Malik Neighbors trade, so I'll count Aaron Jones as that second running back, but even though he almost got benched, he was still fine. And then, CeeDee Lamb, Devontae Adams, Malik Neighbors, Xavier Worthy, Sam Laporta. I traded for Travis Kelce later in the year. If Chris Godwin was on that lineup, oh my God, it would have been disgusting. But overall, I think our flex position is going to be Omarion Hampton. I'm never the biggest fan of taking flex running backs, but I feel like in this case, the wide receiver talent on the board wasn't really amazing. Odunze had a lackluster rookie season. Chris Godwin had an injury season. Brandon Ayuk, I think that he could have been a pretty big steal here, but I just don't trust him enough, especially if he gets traded. So now we look at wide receivers: Shakir, Ridley, Debo, Jacoby Myers, Jaden Reed, Cooper Kupp, Josh Downs. Oh, Michael Pittman Jr., not Josh Downs. Oh, he's up here. Okay. And then I look at running back. I see a couple more guys, not amazing, you know. I don't think I'm going to grab another starting running back. I think Hampton is going to be a starting running back in the league. So I think it's going to be time to get some receivers, maybe shoot on a couple guys. So overall, I think there's a couple easy answers. I think Shakir, Debo, Calvin Ridley are good, but I'm actually going to go with Jacoby Myers over all of them. He's the alpha receiver in this offense, and you know, he is always criminally underrated just because he is the the Raiders are usually bad. But now you have Geno Smith at quarterback, and when your only two targets are Brock Bowers and Jacoby Myers, those two are going to be fed the ball a lot. Like, if Geno throws for like 3,500 yards, I'd imagine like a little over 1,000 go to each of Jacoby Myers and Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers might be closer to like 1,200, and Jacoby Myers close to like 1,000, maybe 1,100. So I think this is barring them drafting a receiver, but I think Jacoby Myers has been really good the last 2 seasons. I do regret not picking him in the earlier rounds this year, but yeah, overall, Jacoby Myers is going to be our flex 2 position. So now I think it's just, taking more wide receivers. I think we have young and very risky options. So I think that, so we still have Diggs, we have Keenan Allen on the board, we have Juwan Jennings, Darnell Mooney, Amari Cooper, Keon Coleman, Shaheed, Marquise Brown, D-Hop, Quentin Johnston. I do want to know where all the rookie wide receivers were going. What round were they going? Lad McConkey, Garrett Wilson, Terry McLaurin, Rashee Rice, DJ Moore, Devontae Adams, Jalen Waddle, Zay Flowers. Where did they go? It looks like they haven't gone yet. Yeah, they haven't really gone yet. So, overall, I would love to take a rookie receiver here. Top players from each position. Can I not do that? Hello? Okay, so I can only do suggested players. I guess we're just going to go off of this. Yeah, so overall, here we go. Where are all these wide receivers? Cedric Tillman, Adam Thielen, Marvin Mims, Luther Burden III. So that means Ted McMillan has to be closer to here. At wide receiver 51, I'm taking Tetaroa McMillan. I want to take him. Can I even get to him? Yeah, I'm going to draft him as my first wide receiver. If Ted McMillan is here in the 9th round, I am taking him any day of the week. He might be a consensus top 10 pick. I know it's probably not the most realistic thing to be taking him this late, but overall, I think it's still like whatever. I'm going to be taking him. So Jalen Hurts is an alpha quarterback, so I do not feel like I have to take another one until probably one of the last picks in the draft, maybe not even. I think where my weaknesses might be are in the tight end position, because George Kittle could get hurt. He was hurt a lot last year. And wide receiver. I think that our running backs should be able to carry. We should probably get a couple other ones, but I want to stack up on a lot of wide receivers that have high upside. And I think the next guy I'm going to go with is Jalen McMillan. Once again, he's one of the young guys. He was a big red zone threat. Mike Evans is getting older. Chris Godwin is coming off a major injury. I think that Jalen McMillan is just going to be, once again, a big piece in this team, especially in the red zone. So, overall, I think that this is a great position to go for him here. Let's take a look at some other teams we've got. So this team, Jamar Chase, so he was the 101. Josh Jacobs, Tyreek Hill at the 2. So his team's okay. Don't love it, don't hate it. Drake May, Bijan Robinson, Ashton Genty, JSN, Xavier Worthy, Brock Bowers at the 209. I do like that. We built this gritty, so Justin Jefferson makes sense. Breece Hall, T. Higgins, that's a great 3. Kyron Williams as well at the 4. DJ Moore, he doesn't have a tight end yet. But overall, not amazing, not too terrible competition-wise. Running back, I think that overall, I see a guy who I'm definitely going to be picking, and that is Zach Charbonnet. He's probably, if I had to say, the best handcuff in the league. If if Kenneth Walker gets hurt, or if Kenneth Walker gets traded, Zach Charbonnet is easily a top 15 back that you're going to want to start every week. And I think that even though it's not a handcuff for any of the guys that we have, this is absolutely perfect to have Zach Charbonnet here with a bunch of these guys. Tight end, I see a lot of guys that have super good value in this round. I don't think it's realistic for Travis Kelce to fall this far. 93rd overall. I mean, like, is he really going to fall this far? I don't know. But if he falls to the 12th round, I am definitely pulling the trigger on him. I know people might think he's washed, but this is his last season. Patrick Mahomes and him still have that connection. I think he's going to train his ass off, and he's going to come in with a fighting spirit. So I'll take Travis Kelce here. Not a lot of upside, but I think that having a good tight end is so important in fantasy football that I'm willing to take a risk on Travis Kelce here. So now let's go into the portion of the draft where most likely you are not drafting anybody good. So what you want is like I said in a couple of videos earlier, you want 3 different things you're looking for: contract years, rookies, new situations. So overall, who do I think out of this? I want to draft another receiver. So who fits these profiles? Romeo Dubes? No. Adam Thielen? Probably not. He's also getting older. Marvin Mims and Cedric Tillman definitely could both be in that category. Marvin Mims is in his new situation. Even though he's with the Denver Broncos still, he is consensusly probably the number 2 option. He might even be the number 3, but he really cemented himself as an option that Bo Nix really likes, especially over the last couple games of the season. So I think that Denver might try to integrate him more into the game plan. Kind of same with Cedric Tillman. He's probably going to get a new quarterback too. Wan'Dale Robinson is another guy who also might get a new quarterback, so maybe he can take those 96 receptions, and instead of turning it into like 800 yards, he could turn it into like 1,200 yards. So overall, and also Luther Burden, once again, rookie, I think it's between these 4, and it really just depends on who you think has the most upside team-wise. And honestly, I think I'm going to go with Wan'Dale Robinson here. I know, Giants fan, right? So I think that with the new quarterback in this system, Malik Neighbors is going to be fed the ball a lot, but they like to use Wan'Dale Robinson on a lot of screens and a lot of short passes. If Wan'Dale Robinson can get involved again and really up his yards per reception, I think that he can be a really good player and a really good steal at a spot like this. He was good last year. He was at 10 points a game. He was a good depth piece starting in some weeks. I know there's some games where he had 11 or 12 receptions. But luckily for us, in the next round, all 3 of these receivers are still here. So I think I'm going to go with another rookie receiver and Luther Burden. This obviously depends on where Luther Burden goes. If he goes to a team like the Colts, they have a really crowded wide receiver room and not a great quarterback play. I'm probably not drafting him here. Ted McMillan, if he goes to somewhere like the Saints, I'm not a big fan of him there anyway, so I probably wouldn't be drafting him as much as I would be, because he'd be a lot earlier than the 906. But overall, I think that Luther Burden would be a great steal here. He's a rookie. You really like his production in college, except for the last year. I think that he's still got tons of talent, and if teams use him right, he'll be really good. So now we look at this, and honestly, I want to draft a rookie running back. I drafted Omarion Hampton anyway, so who do I think is the best rookie running back out of Dylan Sampson, Cam Scadaboo, and Bayshell Tootin? What matters is the situation. If any of these guys goes to a team that has a number 1 that is completely secured, no way anyone's winning that starting job, like the Falcons or the Eagles, I'm not going to be too high on them. I know the injuries happen, but you can't predict injuries. So I'm going based on situations. So it's kind of tough to say, but I'm going to take Cam Scatterbo here. But overall, this could really be any rookie running back. It doesn't have to be Scatterbo. It doesn't have to be Tootin. Doesn't have to be Caleb Johnson. It could be literally anybody. Doesn't matter. The last player we're going to be taking before our kickers and our defense and special teams is he's still here, Marvin Mims Jr. I think that our wide receiver core could easily turn out to be one of the better receiving cores in the league. McMillan, that's funny. 2 McMillans, Wandale, Burden, and Marvin Mims. All of these guys have high upside. They're either in new situations, they're rookies, or they're in, I guess, I don't know if any of them are in a contract year. I can pull up my my fantasy football rankings, but I probably should have done that with this, but honestly, this is more casual, so I'm not really going too crazy into it. So overall, I think that we have very high upside on here. 2 great handcuffed running backs, and then 3 unbelievably good running backs. So now kickers actually do matter. A lot of people say they don't. I see so many teams taking defense here, but absolutely none taking kicker. I think that I had Chris Boswell in my league last year, and he was the kicker number 1, I believe. And he won me some weeks with his 24, 26-point performances. Kickers are way more important and way more volatile, or less volatile, than your special team, your defense and special teams are. So overall, I think that I am going to take maybe Chris Boswell, maybe Brendan Aubrey. I think Aubrey's probably the best kicker in the league, so I am going to go with him. The Cowboys are probably going to be terrible in the red zone like they always are, and Brendan Aubrey had very good average points per game as well. Had one game over 20 points here, another game over 20 points here, but I think that, Aubrey is a great kicker, and overall, so, yeah. Now, realistically, your defense does not matter. If you do anything but stream defenses, you are not smart, I don't think. You need to stream your defenses, because if you get a top defense, but they get absolutely manhandled, then what's the point of getting a top defense anyway? So let me go back up a little bit. Let me see where the Denver Broncos defense, right? They were the number 1 defense this season in points a game. Pittsburgh, 0 points. Las Vegas, 0 points. Baltimore, 0 points. Las Vegas again, 0 points. LA Chargers again, 0 points. 3 points. They had a couple of big games. Against New Orleans, 20. Against Cleveland, 20. Against Indianapolis, 20. Against Kansas City, 15. But realistically, if you're picking a defense and then you're going to have to play them in against a very bad matchup, the only reason I would take a top defense early is if you have a league that is over, I'll say, probably over 16, just because 16 is kind of like that cutoff where, like, okay, every team can have 2 defenses. I played in a 20-person league, and I learned the hard way that streaming defenses was not an option in bigger leagues. But in smaller leagues, like a 10-person league, you're going to have on the waiver wire at least 15 to 20 defenses at a time. So honestly, it's just a matter of you look at the stats. Who's going to have a good matchup in week 1? So I don't know who's going to play each other in week 1 yet. I don't think the matchups are out, but overall, oh my gosh, the Detroit Lions are playing the Cleveland Browns. I'm going to take the Detroit Lions defense. But yeah, overall, I think that we drafted a very good team. I really like our running back room. Our first 2 wide receivers are good as well. Overall, we just kind of did like a nice and easy draft. Just went through, took the players that I think were the best or had higher upside. But as we get farther into this channel, and as the fantasy football season really commences, especially after the draft, we're going to be doing super in-depth mock drafts and analysis, what players you should be drafting, what shouldn't you be drafting, and also how you can be the best commissioner in your league. I hope you guys really enjoyed this type and style of video. Please like and subscribe. We're one away from 20, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.